What's up, BC? How's it going, my man?
Good, man. How are you?
Man, well, I've got a sleeveless top on, and now I can see you with a sleeveless top on. I think I should get dressed.
Oh,
Are
I
you
just got.
are you eating there?
Yeah, I was.
You
Yeah,
you go right ahead, man. You can. I think all my listeners will expect that from someone who's just won the Mr. Olympia. You're kind of like Dorian Yates. As soon as you're straight back, you're thinking about next year.
oh yeah, it's in my mind. Plus the appearance schedule and whatnot. You gotta make sure you look the part.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you've got a tour now coming up in the UK, haven't you?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's a
sir.
good. Well, it's good to see you again, man. It's been a long, long time. It's been a hell of a
It's
long time.
yeah, it's been a long time, brother. It's been a long time, but
Yeah,
we go way back, so it's
yeah,
great.
we do. But congratulations, man. Like I know you would have heard that so many times, and I'm sure it's taken a while for it to set in right now, and it'll probably take another while once the hoopla has kind of come down a little bit. But man, you know, I tell you what, I got so much satisfaction out of your win because I've seen you come through the ranks for so many years now, be persistent, be like at the tail end of a lot of the shows, and I don't think anybody had really taken, like, everyone could see your potential, everyone could
Mhm.
see there was something there, but I don't know how many people actually thought that it'd come together. And because like you'd see so many bodybuilders that have been there in the game for so many years. It's like, okay, well, what changes can they make now? If those changes could have been made, they would have happened by now. So this is as good as it gets. Some people reach that potential at a younger age, some at an older age, whatever it may be. But man, you just came across leaps and bounds and just overtook everyone. And just to see that, not just from a physical standpoint, but from a spiritual, good vibrational method, because everyone knows you're a good guy anyway. And it's great to see a good guy not only with that, but with that persistence and that consistency and the sacrifices you and your family have made is just awesome victory, my man. So congratulations, sir.
Well, it's been great. I'm blessed enough, I guess you say, to have a certain amount of understanding around me in my relationship as far as my wife is concerned. She's definitely been a catalyst to my bodybuilding career in general. She told me I should be a bodybuilder when we met back in high school. So, I disagreed with her at the time, but here we are today, and she's seen me, I guess, reach the mountaintop. So, she's definitely one of the first people to believe in me, and that support has just allowed me to continue to pursue what I wanted to pursue and accomplish to the next level, to where I could actually set myself in a position where I could be champion. So my hat goes off to her, and like I said, I wouldn't be in this position without the support system around
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of the times people look at bodybuilding as being a selfish and individual sport, which to a certain degree it has to be. But with a support system such as like that, especially when you've got a family, I think it's imperative that you have something like that because you're going to face doubt, you're going to face excuse, you're going to face some sort of weakness. You're going to wake up having a bad day for no reason. And when you have that as that justification and that accountability to push, it takes you over the edge that you need.
me. Exactly, and that's this. Everybody's like, why do you have to go away? Well, I just tell people straight up, I'm just not a good balanced person. And when it comes to my kids and life in general, sometimes bodybuilding have to take a back seat if it's all in the same arena. So me being separating myself and that deprivation, knowing that I have to do what it takes to work extra extra hard to make this time away worth it is definitely a major motivation factor to what I've been able to accomplish because I get hungry when I'm away from all that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I
And
get hungry.
I should only imagine that it'd make you a better husband and a father and a better person to be around anyway. Because if you're not able to pursue the goals like you want to deep down, because maybe you're at a football match or you're doing something with the family, which is taken away from that goal, you're not going to feel good within yourself. And maybe you're not going to be the best dad to be around because you're not quite as present as you possibly could be. And it doesn't come about down to quantity time, it comes down to quality. And I can
Right.
only imagine that you're able to give more of yourself now that you're back because you're able to separate them to a certain degree and give so much more of yourself in towards your goals when you're away.
Yeah, it's a matter of you can step back away from something and then you can analyze it better. So I know that I have to be time efficient when I'm with my family. So I sit back and I analyze my especially my sons. I analyze them better and I make sure that the different things that they are learning or things I can teach them, I seize the moment and teach those things right away. As they develop. Because I know that they won't always have. I won't always be in their presence to see these things and correct these things. And some of these lessons, of course, they can only learn through experience. But in hindsight, they hear those voices that continue to confirm those things later on in life when they run in these different situations, which I have experienced and understand. So, I take advantage of these moments. Some of these things you guys will see because I'm trying to be more active when I'm at home to share some of my home experience and not just my prep experience with my fans. So I've got some I got some mistaken footage playing with some new toys I got yesterday. I just decided to go on a walk and play with my new gimbal that I got, and I got some some great footage as I was trying to figure this thing out. So I'll put it together with my YouTube channel here in a little bit and let you guys see it. It was great. It was a simple format of just walking the dog. And this dog, he's been around the kids, but he hasn't been walked in a while, probably since I've been home probably as much as he needed to be. So all the boys got a chance to walk the dog and the different dynamic between the dog. I guess accepting the practice of walking and being led. He had the most trouble with my eldest son because my eldest son is probably the most hormonally changing, and the way the dog reacts to him is a little bit different. It's kind of like, he's threatened on the hierarchy, as you can tell. But of course, these exercises confirm in the dog's mind that, oh man, he is the leader over me. And sometimes dogs don't really like that, and they resist. But through the process, you can see the dog breaking and accepting it. And then we went from the oldest to the youngest. And by the time we got to the youngest, he had no resistance, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. That's cool. Is that what sort of dog do you have?
Oh, we have a American Bully.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I,
a medium size.
I got a pit bull, and he's a cross between a pit bull and a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, and it's the same sort of thing. Like he will stamp out his alpha dominance to my fiance Sybil. When he's going out on a walk, and she has to struggle a little bit with him because when he's with me, he knows I'm the alpha. So she's making it her point now at the moment to be the alpha because he's just over a year old. He's still trying to wrap his head around it.
Right, when you're in a pack, the dogs think of everything like a pack, and they're always trying to climb the ladder and find their position. So I got all these boys, and they're great with the dog. They have their own relationship with the dog, but I guess he's more challenged by my oldest son, as far as position is concerned. And it's interesting to see the dynamic and see the dog finally give up. A couple times he lay down on the ground. He didn't want to walk. I'm like, oh, you got to get up. You got to do it. So
yeah.
it was a great dynamic to see the change and the energy, I guess you would say.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. So anyway, going back a few years now, like I remember, I cannot remember the exact year. It was probably around 2007, 2008. Could have been as early as 2006. When I remember we were doing a shoot with you. It was myself, Sean Perrine, rest in peace, Greg Merritt. And I remember at that time, it's probably around 2006 time, you were obviously working to try to get the NPC USA title, but you were at like a cross between. You had the look of a muscle and fitness guy, okay? And that's where you were generally publicized more, whether you were doing exercise demos or there's a feature on yourself. And I remember us saying that you've really got a good look for that. You really got a good look. However, bodybuilding was obviously the career path that you wanted to pursue. Was that a crossroads within itself for you because you were getting a lot of publicity during that time in that area? But however, you had the size of a bodybuilder, nothing like you have now, obviously, but you had the looks and the shape to go more towards that muscle and fitness kind of look. Where were you mentally at that point?
At this point, I was just a young guy, just training and developing, and I didn't really have my sights on bodybuilding as a career until 2006. So at that point, I was just a fitness model. Training was my hobby. Competing was my hobby. And then in 2006, I got to go to my first Olympia. And I saw Ronnie Coleman lose the title to Jay Cutler, which I thought was impossible. And that really sparked some purpose in me as far as this bodybuilding thing was concerned. Because at that point of my life, I was searching for some form of fashion or purpose. Even though I was going through these motions of being in this industry, I didn't really see myself in any position in this industry as far as where I was going to take it for the remainder of my career or life. So I was looking for this, and I was just in that process when all these things unfolded upon me. I ran into my then wife as well at the same Olympia in 2006. So that was an interesting moment. I think that was after 7 years. And then I got to go to this Olympia, which was questionable at that because I wasn't invited necessarily. I got a request we requested from Flex Weaver to get me in because I was with two models that entered a competition. And it just so happened, I doubt he put my name on the list, but it just so happened we walked in together and they said, "Oh, you all look the part, go upstairs." And that's when they had the Weeder booth upstairs and all the free food and drinks. So this moment was just this crazy, magical moment. The whole room went silent when they announced Ronnie Coleman. For me, I know it didn't go silent, but for me, it went silent when they announced Ronnie Coleman as the runner-up. And I was just like stunned. And that just, like I said, from that point on, I was like, I looked at bodybuilding as a career and not as a hobby anymore. And my training and everything and my practices just allowed me to put on a certain amount of weight, make a certain amount of progress. And that just so happened to be the year before I went into the USA's in 2007. Now, I went to a photo shoot, a couple of photo shoots. One of my last ones was at Dr. Dre's gym. And they looked at me and they said, "Brandon, looks like it's going to be the last photo shoot you're going to have with Muscle and Fitness." And I said, "Really?" And they said, "Yeah, it looks like you're going to be moving to Flex." And I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to move to Flex? I'm not a pro bodybuilder, you know? And but they just said the progress that I had made, I guess they assumed that I was going to get my pro card. So at that time, so it was one of my last little shoots there. And they actually did a going away shoot for me at Muscle Fitness as well. But yeah, we shot a cover, one of my last shoots for Flex magazine as an amateur. So I actually was, after that USA's, I had opportunity to sign with a couple of magazines. I decided to sign with Reader magazine, Reader Publications. I didn't win my, in 2007. I came in second in the heavyweight class. But it was just such a buzz back then. You had Trey Brewer, we had Flex Lewis. A lot of the amateur guys were getting contracts in the good old days. So yeah, they put me on blast. By 2008, of course, at USA's, I won my pro card. But I came in second at nationals that year as well, and I worked with a coach for the first time, which was Hani Rambod, who had interest in me as a physique athlete as well, because he saw the potential as well, of course. But yeah, it was a wild ride. So it wasn't nothing that it wasn't a crossroad for me. It was just more progression in a sense. You know? But this kind of life just kind of led me in this direction.
Got it. Okay, well, that gives me a better timestamp. So I'm assuming it must have been about 2006 that shoot happened then. And you mentioned that you went on to moved with Hani Rambod. You worked with Neil Hill for a little while as well, because I remember that we worked out together. I think we hit a leg session as myself, you, Simon Pham, I believe Hide Yamagishi was part of that workout as well, because his body's lying all over the floor there. It was a good workout that time. So at this time, you know, that pivotal moment, 2006, did you think, or at any point, did you think that, okay, I'm gonna try to be on that Olympia stage. I'm gonna try to place top 10, top 5, 3, win it. What was in your head then?
At that point, you know, at that very experience at the actual show, when I saw Ronnie, what I thought was impossible happened. I knew that point inside that I was going to be on that stage. At that point, I knew I was a champion. At that point, I knew. It's like I just found purpose in it right there. This is for you. It's basically what I heard. This is what you're supposed to be doing. And at that time, it was overwhelming, and I wasn't really fully ready to accept that was completely for me. I was like, okay. I'll do my best. That was my attitude. I would do what I can. And, I tried to forget about the mountaintop for a minute because it was such an overwhelming thing. I put it in the back of my mind. But it helped me in a way because every time I would go through these tough times in the industry, my rises and my successes and my failures, definitely when my failures came, when I wanted to question everything, I have this anchor in my mind that I cannot let go of. This feeling, this understanding that was given to me in 2006 that this is not a chance thing for you. This is a destiny. So I had to, it's no way. I either had to deny it or accept it for what it was. And in my head, it was undeniable. So at the end of the day, no matter what I experienced, it was undeniable. And I had to just understand that this is the process. And I didn't know the timing. I didn't know when I was going to get to the destination, but I just had to be open enough to be aware of the doors that were opening and the work that needed to be done, no matter what I was going through.
Right. Okay. So however you treated today would basically dictate tomorrow. It wasn't too far ahead that you were focused on. You knew it would lead somewhere, but whatever you did today would lead to that following day. And when, obviously you won the Arnold Classic, and then you had two people before you that had won the Arnold Classic, such as Dexter Jackson and Ronnie Coleman, that won the Olympia in that same year. At the Arnold Classic, and when you won that, did you think then straight after that, hey, you know what? I could be taking that Olympia title. This is reality.
That is exactly what happened. Actually, that was the plan after the 2018 season. Coach was like, "We're going to do the Arnold, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, we got to do the Arnold to gain the momentum for the Olympia. Because when the Arnold is automatically going to be talking about a front runner for the Olympia, I need that motivation. I need that drive. So the first things first should win the Arnold." And and I knew that if I could win the Arnold and make a statement at the Arnold, I could challenge the reigning champ, which was Shawn Rhoden. I would be a legitimate challenge for him, not knowing the situation that would come to the forefront after the fact. But just thinking in my head, if I bring the package that I know I can bring into the Arnold, I know that I will have Shawn worried about me coming into the Olympia. I know I'll be able to take him out. And that was the mission. That was the plan. And me and my coach, we set it out that way. And that's exactly where we're going to attack it.
So, you said before we go into that with the Olympia and your coach, now you worked with Neil Hill, you worked with Hani Rambod, both great trainers. And now you've got a new trainer that you've been working with for the past couple of years. Like, what is it that creates a trainer that has the perfect dynamic for you? Because, just like I guess with any relationship, you can have a great person here, but together they're just not mixing. What is it that works for you with the team, the guys at the Team Camel over at Oxygen Gym?
I've had a lot of great coaches. Even George Farrell was one of my coaches. He after Neil, so I got a chance to work with a lot of great minds, a lot of great talents. And this is what I understood. Coaching is definitely about chemistry, and it's even more about timing. Like because the coaching dynamic can change based on the coach's responsibilities at any given time. And I've seen that dynamic change with coaches where they were more available at certain times. And then, popularity or what may have it with business loads, whatever may happen, that it changes the dynamic of the relationship. Now, I ran into my coach Abdullah at the 2016 Mr. Olympia. I came in last place, and this was right after prejudging. I wasn't having a good show. I think I did 7, maybe 8 shows. I did an unbelievable amount of shows that year. Most of them were spent trying to qualify for the Olympia.
Yeah, and you qualified on points.
On points, yes.
Yeah.
Because I needed to get to the Olympia, I felt, in my position. What I needed to do is I needed to try I was working with myself. I was doing all kind of crazy things, trying to experiment and trying to bring this level of physique that everybody was demanding. And they swore come through some kind of suffering so to speak. So I suffered ridiculously for 2016 season. Diet methods, cardio methods, whatever it could. I just thought suffering was going to lead me somewhere. And it led me eventually to get enough points for the Olympia stage. And I just was happy to be there. I didn't expect to do anything there. I just wanted to be there to get the motivation and the drive that I needed for the next season. And that's all I was there for. I was just saying, guys, I'm here. And of course, we got the press conference, and there's questions about 212 and whatnot, because I had dieted myself probably close to 212 as I was going to get at that point. And I just went with it just out of the sake of not having a conversation. Yeah, it sounds like a great idea, with no real intentions of actually doing it, because I never had the desire to. I was a heavyweight when I turned pro. Going 212, it just didn't seem reasonable for me as far as being a productive bodybuilder. So I just deal with that, brush that to the side. But I saw my coach after prejudging, my now coach, and he worked with Victor Martinez. And what I saw was he revived Victor Martinez in a way that I just didn't understand how that could happen to an athlete that has been going so long. So it made me respect him. I didn't know how young he was at the time, but it made me kind of respect him. And so I offered that. I offered him his just due. I said, man, you did a great job with Victor, man. I've known Victor for a while. I love what you did with him after the prejudging. And he looked at me, he says, I've been following you for a while. He says, would you come to Kuwait? I says, He says, I think it can make you top 6 in the world. Now, you take probably the previous year, my wife asked me, would I go to Kuwait? I told her, no way. Only because I didn't think it was an opportunity that was going to come anyway. So I didn't want to think about it. Well, here I got this guy asking me if I would come, and he's going to make me top 6 in the world. So just so happened, next 2 weeks, I would be going to Kuwait to actually compete in the Kuwait Classic. So I said, I'll come to Kuwait, I'll check it out, and, we can talk about it there. I get to Kuwait, and he picks me up, and he has this and he's followed my career for a long time. I actually probably met him in 2009, 2008 at the FIBO, something like that, he was telling me. And he came up to the BSN booth at that point. So he's been following my career for a long, long time. And he was telling me details about different things. And he had already mapped out some form of plan. And I was just like, man, this guy is freaking on it. And he's just a fan, and he's passionate about the sport. And so I just looked at his attention to detail, and I'm just thinking, wow, I think this guy really believes that in what he says, he really believes it, And it was encouraging to hear somebody follow me for so long, and they knew so many details about me. And it just showed me that he actually had some kind of vision for me. Now, it wasn't easy. He had to convince Badr Budai that I was going to be worth coming to Kuwait. He said nobody thought I was worth coming to Kuwait. Nobody thought, it was worth the time. But he had to vouch for me, and he finally convinced him, and I was there. I think he says 12-week preps. My wife says 10 weeks. And we were able to turn my physique around really quick. I mean, I gained a lot of muscle, and I basically, got lean during the same window of preparation. And we changed my physique in a way people didn't even see it before. And won 2 shows that year, back-to-back, qualifying for the Olympia, and actually being top 10 in the Olympia that year, but actually being called on the first call-out. So we actually thought we were going to be 5 or 6, but by the finals, they moved me back to 8th. So, but it was a crazy year. And 8th place was the best I ever done in the Olympia. When I worked with Neil, I got 8th at my first Olympia in 2011. So it just awakened something, new life into my career and new expectations just by like this 10, 12 weeks of the Kuwaiti experience.
Yeah, well, full respect to the guys over in Kuwait for what they're able to do with you. But obviously, they gave you the tools. You were the engine that drove that forward. Like without, I know everybody's probably asked you, Brandon, like, what is the secret? What is the change that was made? And maybe you can't disclose too much. That's absolutely fine. But like, for instance, like you said, June 2016, you killed yourself, you sacrificed, you probably did an extensive amount of cardio. What is the change in the system there that you weren't able to follow when you were here? other than the distraction. You know, what was the cardio? What was your prep? How were you able to put on so much muscle? Were you eating that much different? Were you taking less time away from the gym to recover more? You know, what did that look like if you could paint a picture?
Well, I painted a picture. The picture was interesting because, of course, we were eating because we were trying to gain a little bit, and we were eating into the show. So we were eating quite a bit of food, which, you know, I've eaten quite a bit of food before. But what I found out is that we were doing a lot of volume in the gym, a lot of volume in the gym. I was being pushed in the gym very, very hard, higher volume than I was used to. And the food was going in.
Sorry, when you say higher volume, more sets, not necessarily more reps.
I think it was a combination of actually both.
Okay.
Because you think you do a certain amount of sets, a certain amount of reps, and, you know, next thing you know, he's pushing out 6 more, whatever it may be. So, you know, never the number I anticipated, probably the reps that I would do, or ever the exact number that I would do. So, and then just the volume in general, the amount of exercises that we would do in a workout just increased because of the amount of availability of equipment in the oxygen gym.
Yeah.
So, you know, you find you have so many pieces to use, and, you know, a coach says, well, we'll make use of so many different pieces because he has this vision for you as far as what he needs to bring up and the areas that needs to be focused and attacked on. So my coach, you know, was in a position to see me every day, be in the gym with me every day, make adjustments on the fly to my nutrition, experiment in a way to where he could make predictable changes. So he would make a change. He would let this change run its course. And then he would explain to me what just happened. He would say, oh, you see what just happened? This is what I thought would happen. He says, I did this and we got this result. And I decided to do this. He says, I took your compounds up. I lowered them. And I like what I see better. He says, I took your compounds up and I didn't like what I saw. You got more watery. You got, more of this, or this compound called this. We removed it and I see what I want to see now. Or I had you doing a little bit more cardio than I thought I think I should have. And it pulled you down over the course of the day. So I figured we can't do too much cardio right now. Your body doesn't want to do this. So he was just basically just giving me these keys during this preparational phase that he was observing based on some of the experimentation, the things that I didn't understand what he was doing, but I would just follow. So I'm in an environment to where I'm isolated. I get all my meals delivered to me on the fly. I know when I'm going to train. I'm always available. They pretty much know where I'm at pretty much at all times. And they can check on me in any moment and see how I'm doing. So I'm in a very controlled environment, consistent environment. So when you make a change, he's expecting to see a result in a matter of days or two. So he was able to make all these adjustments and kind of figure my body out in a way, in a very fast way, to where he was able to manipulate all these variables to my favor. And it was just that intense focus. I said my coach has ADD because in a general life he's kind of like ADD. He's not paying really attention to anything. But when it comes to my physique and it comes to some of the details, it's like he has this pinpoint memory, and he doesn't forget. And he'll challenge my memory against his, and then he'll find the note or the message, and he says, "See, I'm right," because for whatever reason. So I've learned to just trust what he says he remembers or is right, and I've learned to trust his eyes because I think that's where his talent is. His eyes is seeing the adjustment of my physique and where it's going, and he can kind of predict where it's heading. So me and Abdullah have crazy chemistry. I mean, he's trying to get other people involved in my prep, and they would get frustrated because he's like, "Oh, you think it's easy, huh? You think it's easy?" He says, "Oh, here, take him for a couple weeks and see what happens." And they're like, "We don't know." It's like, see, I know his body. Trust me, I know his body. So he's taking the time to really, really understand what he's looking at.
And I guess it really helps, because like when you're training with a coach, usually you're not living within the same vicinity, and you've got someone there every single day that is adapting instinctively based on what he is seeing, that what necessarily you don't always see. You
Right.
need that outsider's perspective, because when you've been in this for so long, you can become a little bit illusional or disillusional at any particular time. You know what it's like. You look in the mirror one day, you look great. You look in the mirror the next day, you look terrible. But is that in your head? You don't really know.
Right.
But, yeah.
So It's the variable. It's that variable. That is probably the factor that made the most changes in results. It's just this hands-on factor, this old school bodybuilding factor that, modern technologies has allowed us to, kind of supplement other things for, that really allowed this progress to take place. That hands-on type of factor.
Yeah, and I guess because, like you said, you're not distracted, you're not having to participate in any other activities, so you are able to train for longer in the gym and able to recover. And I assume based on the volume that your frequency throughout the week has increased as well. Like, were you training like 6 days a week now, or?
Well, we would do basically one day off, which was Friday, and depending on the goal or whatever he's looking at, the frequency would go up in a matter of the sessions per day. So let's say this preparation, which was drastically different from Arnold preparation, and luckily for me, I have a coach that knows how to make adjustments based on the body, what the body's doing right now. So we did an extensive period of Ronnie Coleman style training, where we're training everything twice a week, 2-a-days, and basically just one day off. And we did that extensively for a while. My coach looked at me and says, "You okay? We want to take a break from this?" I said, No, I'm recovering well. I have to travel in a few weeks. Once travel hits, the volume will go down once I have to leave. And he said, "We can keep it down once we come back." He said, "We'll make the adjustment then." I said, "I'm feeling fine for now." So we were able to, make these adjustments with this volume. I was able to adapt to this volume. And, some of my training partners was really feeling this volume. But for me, I was good because I knew there was a destination we would hit, and that would go down, and we were making adjustments. So I know I can handle it. So it's a lot of volume in general, but sometimes, when that frequency goes up, it's like, wow, is my body really doing this? And, you find those nap times, you find those periods to where you just, you take advantage of the recovery. And so we were able to do it and still stay pretty healthy and fresh. The thing is my body has matured in a way since the Arnold, to where I seem to hold on muscle a lot more easier than I did actually for the Arnold. So the scale was the big confusing factor coming into this Olympia prep, because it wasn't really moving as dynamically as we once remembered it to move, no matter how hard we worked. I was doing more cardio, and I was eating. I normally eat pretty large amount of carbs dieting, but we had chopped those carbs down just to see if we could get this scale to make some dramatic changes, and it just didn't. Even though I got in better condition, which was fine, but it just didn't move like we wanted it to move. It just let us know that I had put on the muscle that I had put on real muscle in just a short amount of time from the Arnold preparation. And my off season and my time at home was actually probably spent very well. So going into the Kuwait train, I got the added benefit of my training diversity, and I was still able to make improvements. So it was definitely an interesting preparation as far as the difference between the Arnold preparation and this preparation.
Yeah, for sure. Something similar happened to like Dorian Yates back in 92 to 93. Remember the amazing black and white pictures when they'd see the change. And he said that it wasn't so much that he'd put on a huge amount of size. Yes, he'd put on the size, but he didn't lose it. It's just that muscle maturity had set in, that, that densified over the years. Now I watched the Olympia there. Now I saw that they didn't work you as hard on this particular platform that they'd done in the past. At that particular time, did you think, shit, was that confusing, or did you think maybe this is a foregone conclusion where it's like, hey, just stand back and see where the rest of the results unfold?
It kind of messed up our plan just a little bit, because we tried to come in, preparing to work. So we came in for prejudging very, very, very full, and very well fed, thinking that we were going to be worked down, and Steve was going to just make us just, next thing you know, you're just fighting to stay full and fighting to keep that pop. It didn't quite happen that way. So it kind of messed up, our plan in our minds, and we're thinking, okay, no, are we tight enough? But the way that, of course, prejudging is run, you can kind of get an idea of what the judges are thinking. The judges are my mirrors. I'm watching their faces. I'm watching the expressions. and I'm just really trying to be aware of my stage game during prejudging, because a lot of people don't understand the stage game when it comes to looking at the guys on stage. They don't know the differences between the athletes themselves and the stage games that they play. And I knew that I would have to be up on my stage game in prejudging, because I was facing Hani Chupin, who has one of the best stage games in the league. If you don't understand what I mean, he takes every advantage on stage that he's allowed to take. And if you don't have him in the peripheral vision on stage, he's gonna be in front of you on a lot of shots. He's gonna try to appear to you that bigger than you in front of the judges. He's gonna hit those poses late just to ensure that he's got the position on you. And so I was dealing with that the whole judging. And William got mad at me, of course, because he thought, he's competed against me before. It's not in my nature to play this game on stage. And he was calling me a cheater, but because he didn't really see Hottie's game until I showed him in pictures. I was like, look, I may be 2 steps ahead of you, but Hottie's at least 1 step ahead of me. Look at this. In every picture, he's like, oh, this is all I'm up here, chatting you, calling you a cheater and this and this and that, and I not realizing what I'm battling against, because I knew I had to, because I've competed against him before. I had seen how he took out Nathan, and I know what I'm looking at when I'm looking at pictures and videos. I know that dynamic of dimension. I can tell that people see 2D, but I can see the 3D. I take that into account when I see these images and these photos. So so that kind of changed our game as well, coming into prejudging. And I thought on top of that stage game I had to play, I was going to be worked. But it turns out it wouldn't work that much. And it put me in a good mental state, because I could kind of feel the energy of the judges, knowing that all I had to do was come in a little bit more improved on the finals as far as the conditioning was concerned, and we'll be there to take the title. So I was very confident. It was the weirdest feeling backstage, being that confident, that much at peace, and having that little outside stress bothering you at all. It's just a strange feeling, very strange feeling.
Yeah, I could only imagine that. Only one that you can keep to yourself, that you can't really explain unless someone's actually been there and done it themselves. So, okay, so there's the Olympia. You have been now announced as the winner. Again, like I said, it probably hasn't set in now, but after speaking to your wife Brandy, obviously she has been a huge part of this as well. So much to the fact I thought, wow, I'd love to interview her as well, because what does that look like on the other end of the scale? Like, she must have had so much belief, because she encouraged you to actually go to Kuwait and make the sacrifice, and it must be just such a huge victory and relief for all of you now. Okay, but I know that you're not the kind of guy that rests on your laurels, because you have shown consistency, discipline, persistence all these years. Okay, before I go on I got just a couple more questions, because I know you got to eat. Like, if you were to go back, even though you are now sat in front of me crowned as a Mr. Olympia, if you could go back and talk to your 25, 26-year-old self, would you have made any changes? Would you have done anything different in order to lead to this point?
I would like to say I would, but the truth of the matter is, I would not. I know I wouldn't do anything different, because I know how stubborn I can be. I know how life has to demand a logical perspective out of me sometimes, to where I have to see things a certain way in order to appreciate the dynamic, or appreciate them for what they are at that specific time. And I know I couldn't tell my younger self these things, because my younger self would not listen. So I understand the importance of the experiences, the highs, the lows, whatever it may be. I understand their importance, and without them, I don't think I could be a quality champion. Without the understanding that I've received through the journey which I've experienced. I was not ready for the big stage and to be where I am today 5 years ago, whatever, 2 years. I was not ready. I was not prepared for it mentally. I didn't have the maturity level to be there. I just had not, I was not prepared enough for this position that I'm in today back then. So I'm glad that it was delayed. I'm glad that the timing comes at the right time. And I wouldn't change anything, because all that processing allows me to look at things very differently than I believe I would look at them if I received any of this earlier.
Right, got it. Okay, good answer. So obviously a lot of my demographic that are listening and watching now, bodybuilders, and not necessarily competitive bodybuilders. Some of them are endurance athletes. Some people just want to transform. You have been, as I mentioned, very persistent and disciplined over the year. What advice do you give to people that are trying to get to their goal, but maybe there's distraction, maybe it's social gatherings, maybe there's weak doubt, excuse in their head that are trying to meander them away from their goals? Like, you are the perfect poster boy for somebody that has shown persistence to achieve their goals that they've believed into reality. What advice would you give to people that are facing such?
Well, one of the things that comes to mind is you can overwork. You can do too much. I've been there, trying to pursue what you want. You can't go after it too hard, because when you go after it without the necessary wisdom, sometimes you do a lot of the unnecessary things that you think is required of you because other people speak those things. You're not hardcore enough. You don't, I've heard a lot of those things. And once I got rid of those notions, and I trusted the process, and I let the body do what it needed to do as far as recover and change and not overstress. It basically was easier for me, in a sense, to where the process, I wasn't fighting the process from multiple directions. I wasn't working against myself. So a lot of times we have to make sure that in our pursuits that we're not also working against ourselves, because we have some social programming or something that we are trying to prove to others that you don't necessarily need to prove to anyone else, because this is your journey, this is your process. And the major thing in anything that you pursue, you have to find purpose in it. Because if there's no purpose in what you're pursuing, if you feel no purpose, that internal motivation, that wake-up call that hits you every time you think that you're not good enough, that you are incapable, will not be there if you don't find purpose in what you're pursuing. So you have to understand that we all are different. We all have different missions in life. We're all on different journeys. And the quicker that you can connect to those things that have been implanted in you through your experiences, through your genetics, through your DNA, the better the journey is for you, the more equipped you are for that road of that mission that you're going to pursue. And when you believe that, which is the essence of, I guess, believing in yourself, believing that you are following the road that you need to follow and you're on the right path, that confidence comes in, and that faith in that process is going to be your fuel, no matter what you're going through, no matter what the weather is that day, no matter what kind of circumstances that you're under. You understand that, okay, this process is going to make me, or it's going to break me. And if its process is for me, then I have to look at it only one way and only one way only. It's making me. It's molding me into something that I need to become, something that I need to understand. And this is how you handle this journey called life. Because in general, people ask me, what is bodybuilding? And in a nutshell, my definition of bodybuilding is a general definition, I think, of life in general. It's a journey of self-discovery, right? So we're on this journey, and we're trying to discover things that are inside ourselves, right? The truth and the reality of us. The honesty that we have with ourselves is what's going to accelerate us along this path that we may deviate on when we try to ignore those things. we try to look over those things, or we have those people in our lives that just don't give us the honest perspective, and they make us feel like we're always a certain type of way. But when you connect with that honesty, you know that you're not good at this. You know you're good at this. Then you can troubleshoot in a way to where you can take advantage of those things that you may not be good at by being more disciplined in those areas and knowing you need help. or the things that you are good at, you say, I'm good at this. These are things that I don't really necessarily focus on intensively, but I'll let my natural gifts take over here. But what I really need to work on is those things that are going to slow me down. If you can't identify those things, and if you can't make those adjustments, then you're not going to go anywhere that very fast until you learn that process. So this process of honesty, this process of discovering who you are, what you need to be, what you're made of, in a sense, is what's going to be your story when you reach those goals that you reach, when you accomplish those things that you reach. Because you're going to be not only defined by your success, you're going to be defined by those failures. Because when you're able to look at those failures, you realize that those failures are what have made you into what you have become. Those things are what speak to who you really, really are when nothing is going your way. Nothing seems to be clicking, but what's in here comes out and it propels you forward. And the more you believe in that, the more unbreakable you become, the less susceptible you become to those voices, that negativity that comes at your way. And once you understand that, it's almost like you're breaking out of this matrix that we've been programmed, because we've given stories, we're giving success stories, but we're giving them on a platform to where it's almost this unbelievable fantasy. I want this fantasy life. I want this fantasy job. I want this fantasy woman. And then we got these platforms in which we sell ourselves these fantasies, and people sell these fantasies to us, and we buy them and we believe them, not reading the fine print or the detail. So we have to break out of this false reality and understand the world in which we really, really living in. And it's going to eat us alive. It's trying to eat us alive. But we have to understand we have what it takes. If we focus, if we look beyond the images that are shoved in our faces and connect with the reality of who we really are, we can get behind the veil and continue to move forward and pursue those things that we were put here to do as individuals. Our own talents, our own gifts. We can make the most of those things and maximize them. And this is just the bottom line for anything that you do. Bodybuilding just happens to be one of those odd things, which you can apply these things under a microscope.
Yeah, that's beautifully put. And people could apply that to absolutely everything. In this day and age, when we have social networks and we see instant gratification, whether it be somebody standing on the Olympia stage, or we've got a chick here with the great glutes, everybody wants it today, not looking at the sacrifice that is needed in order to experience the success. And that success, like you said, could be a vision that someone's put on a hashtag filter that isn't necessarily real. You have to remove that filter and make it real for yourself and your destination and your journey. Okay, I'm going to give you one more question then. Now, you stood on stage, obviously, with the unbelievably ageless Dexter Jackson, again at the Olympia at almost 50 years old now, a couple of months away. So seeing Dexter doing what he's doing, still dominating, and, just won a pro show a couple of months ago in Tampa. Do you see that as a possibility in your future, or are you not even looking that far, that you may be on that Olympia stage well into your 40s?
Well, I'm planning not to be. I'm planning not to be out of necessity, because I never want to be there out of any kind of necessity or need to be there. But if I'm there, I'm going to be there for the love and the passion that I have for this sport in particular. So I'm not going to say I want to be there and I rely on competing to live the lifestyle I want to lead. I'm preparing myself for the future after bodybuilding, so I can let go of it at any time. So I'll be willing to let go of it at any time when that time comes. But, if this passion, this drive to be the best, to compete in this sport, to be on that stage is still there, then I never know how long I will stay around. I mean, I don't have a pure exit strategy, but I know life in general will kind of dictate the need for change. And when the need for change comes, I want to be available for the next mission that's ahead of me. I don't want to be stuck somewhere that I'm not supposed to be in life. So, yeah, I mean, I respect Dexter a lot, man. What he's accomplished is incredible. And he just earns my respect just because, I mean, nobody can do it. He's one of the greatest of all times in my book. And to be on that stage with him now, and it's an honor that he's able to compete, and I'm able to just be on stage with him every time I see him. I'm impressed, no matter what. Just the hard work, the longevity, the testament of just the stats alone of his career. It's amazing. So yes, I don't necessarily see myself following his path, but if that's for me, then I know who I'm going to have to be talking to.
Yeah. Well, may I suggest, if you do look past that your bodybuilding career as being a very relatable, real, motivational speaker, that could be something that would be part of your path, because it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, because I think it's something that everybody can relate to. Everyone wants to hear the real struggle, the discipline, the belief that they have in the journey in order to reach whatever their goal is in life, and you've been able to articulate that perfectly for me, Brandon. So I really appreciate it. You, not only a great bodybuilder, an Olympia champion now, you're a great ambassador for the sport. And I think, this is just the very beginning for you inside bodybuilding and outside bodybuilding. So, sir, for your time, just a few days after the Olympia, I really, really appreciate it. You can get back to your meal. And for the listeners and viewers, if you'd like to follow Brandon on his Instagram, on YouTube, because he's just posting a video now of that walk that we spoke about earlier, I'm going to put all the links in my show notes. And if there's anything that you want to add, Brandon, you certainly can. Other than that, you can get back to your meal.
That's that's Brandon Curry Brandon _Curry for your Instagram following, and Brandon Curry All Access is my YouTube channel. Of course, there's links and stuff in my bio on the different formats. I like to think, just think, basically the production team, everybody put this Olympia together. There was a lot of talk about, oh, this Olympia is going to be this Olympia is going to be that. But I was able to win this Olympia in a sold-out crowd, and that's a very memorable moment. It's a testament to the fans and the love of the sport, that when you have all this drama going on, we can still pack a house with a lot of love and a lot of energy. So Dan Solomon, Tamer, you guys, all you guys involved, you did an excellent job in promoting this event. I can't wait till next year. I like to thank my sponsors, of course, SciTech, Gorilla Wear, this being a part of this team. Munch Meals was my meal here, and Nutrition Factory, and Eat Smart, all those guys that are involved in my success. I'd like to thank you guys a lot tremendously. I'm an old sheep now too. I've got so many people on my plate now. I got to try to remember everybody. But like I said, this is a team effort. I'm trying to, just do what I can for this sport, in the light of this sport, because this is what I love. And I want other people to be able to look inside of this and see more than the stereotypes and the negativity, but see some of the good energy, and be interested in the stories and behind the athletes, the people, the process. So I've been able to do that. I've been able to connect with a lot of people, and it's been a pleasure all around people, from parents to soccer moms to, whatever it may be. It's been an honor. And I'm just going to continue to do that and be relatable as possible, and just be a human being. And I just appreciate all you guys' support. And, hopefully we're just going to go into this 2020 season with enough fire and drive to do it over again.
I wouldn't doubt you one little bit, mate. So all the luck to you and your support team moving forward into 2020. I'm sure you'll be taking names and enjoying the process along the way, Brandon. Thank you very much, and congratulations once again on that Mr. Olympia win.
Thank you, sir.
All right, everybody, that is the Knowledge and Mileage podcast, and we is out.